All right, today we're talking about something that is, for all intents and purposes, the central nervous system of a whole smart building. And what's wild is that all of that power, all that intelligence fits inside this little unassuming box right here. This is the EHC 602 Edge Controller.
And that really gets to the core question for today's explainer. Seriously, how much power can you actually cram into a device this tiny? We're about to peel back the layers and find out.
At first glance, it really is a box of surprises. It's built to be discreet, to just blend into the background. But that humble little exterior, it's completely misleading. I mean, just look at these specs. It is incredibly compact. It weighs only 185 grams. That is lighter than most smartphones you've got in your pocket. And it takes up just 6 DIN modules of space. That's a standard size, which means it just snaps right onto a rail inside an electrical cabinet, totally out of sight. It's small, it's light, and it is literally designed to disappear. But that physical size, honestly, it's just a disguise. To really understand what the EHC 602 is all about, we have to look inside, because that's where we find the real brain of the building. And right here, this is where the entire story flips on its head. We're not talking about some simple controller anymore. We're talking about a quad-core 1.5 gigahertz processor. That is some serious computing power. The kind of stuff you'd expect to find in a mini computer, not some little piece of hardware tucked away in a wall. And then there's this, 4 gigabytes of high-speed LPDDR4 RAM. Now, you might be asking, why on earth does an edge device need that much memory? Well, that's what lets it juggle all those complex tasks, process tons of data streams all at once, and make decisions right there on the spot without ever breaking a sweat. So, all this horsepower, what's it actually for? It's for solving one of the biggest headaches in any modern building: integration. See, you've got dozens of systems, your HVAC, your lights, your security, your meters, and more often than not, none of them speak the same technical language. The EHC 602 is built to be the universal translator. It really does act like a building's central nervous system. It connects to all these different field buses, and you can just think of those as the local specialized languages that things like meters or AC units use. The EHC 602 understands all of them, and then it translates everything into one common language that the building's main network can understand. And its power to translate all starts with its physical ports. I mean, look at this collection. You've got 2 RS-485 ports, which are the absolute workhorses for older but still critical protocols like Modbus and BACnet. You've got M-Bus, which is specifically for utility meters, C-Bus for certain lighting and control systems, and of course 2 Ethernet ports for all the modern IP-based stuff. It is built to connect to pretty much anything you can find in a building. But here's the real magic. It's not just about the physical ports, it's about the software services you can assign to them. So that single RS-485 port isn't just locked into one job. You can tell it to be a Modbus gateway, or a BACnet router, or, and this is the big one, a host for what are called virtual devices. This software flexibility is what makes it a true game changer for integration. I really want to zero in on that virtual device service for a second, because this is, without a doubt, its most powerful trick for connecting the unconnected. This is where the device's intelligence really starts to shine. So what is it? Okay, think of it like this. It's a clever little abstraction layer. You connect a physical piece of hardware, say an energy meter from a completely different manufacturer. The EHC 602 has a whole library of these devices. It knows exactly how to talk to that meter and pull out all of its complicated data points. Then it wraps all that messy complexity up and presents the meter to the rest of the network as a simple, clean, standardized object. The impact this has for the people actually installing these systems is massive. A job that used to take hours of digging through manuals and manually mapping data points becomes this dead simple 4-step process. You connect the hardware, you pick the model from a list, and bam, the EHC 602 does all the grunt work for you. It's an incredible time and money saver. And its flexibility doesn't stop at just translating protocols, it gives you some serious networking options. Those 2 Ethernet ports can work in 2 different ways. Bridge mode is the simple one. It just acts like a switch, letting you daisy-chain devices together. But dual mode, that's where it gets really smart. The ports become 2 totally independent network cards.
This lets an installer create separate, isolated networks, one for all your sensitive building equipment and another for public access. That is a huge win for cybersecurity. So when you put all these pieces together, what do we really have here? We found that the future of smart building control, well, it's compact.
The EHC 602 is really a leap forward for edge computing in buildings. It proves you can cram an insane amount of processing power into a tiny box that just disappears into a cabinet. It's that critical universal translator, bridging the gap between old tech and new. And maybe most importantly, with features like that virtual device service and its secure networking, it makes the job and the cost of creating a truly integrated, future-ready smart building so much simpler. And that leads us to a final thought. The trend is crystal clear. More intelligence, more power, all being packed into smaller, more efficient devices right at the edge of the network. So if this little box is the brain of a single smart building today, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What will the brain of an entire smart city look like tomorrow?